It's that time of year and I've had a lot of people ask, so go ahead and make sure you're in the most interior room or the lowest area of your home and get ready for this video because we're talking about tornadoes in Mississippi. What's up, everybody? My name is Jared Laster. I'm a realtor with Keller Williams right here in the Jackson, Mississippi metro area. This is the Living in Jackson, Mississippi channel where we're making videos all the time showing you around the area and giving you information. And if that's what you're looking for, make sure you get down there, hit the subscribe button, click the bell. That way you'll get notified when all those new videos come out, because we've got more and more coming out every single week. And then, of course, if you are somebody that's actually thinking about moving here, you probably want to take that just one step further. Go ahead and reach out to us. You can call us, text us, email, DM us. You can even... Y'all know it don't really matter how you do it, just as long as you do, because we've got your back moving here to the Jackson, Mississippi metro area. Now in this video, we are talking about tornadoes because, well, it's spring and heading into summer here in Mississippi. It's the time of year where, we're thinking about tornadoes. We just had a small tornado outbreak the other day. We potentially got another one coming up. And so yes, there's your answer right off the bat. Tornadoes do happen, but is it something that we just constantly live in fear of? I'm gonna have to go ahead and answer that one. Just say not really. We pay attention. You definitely don't want to ignore it. If the tornado threat's coming up, keep an eye on it. But is it something that we are just constantly afraid of every time the sky gets dark a little bit? No. Now, I personally have not been seriously impacted by a tornado, personally. And I think probably 99% of people living here in Mississippi would probably say the same thing. That being said, there are some serious instances. So just to give you a couple examples, I'll tell you one time. I went to school in Starkville. I went to Mississippi State before I moved down here to the Jackson area. And one time driving up to Tupelo, we were coming back. It was really stormy. And at one point I could not see, wind was blowing. We stopped, pulled off on the side of the road, and I don't know, I've never been able to confirm this, but I believe we actually were sitting in the car through a very minor tornado. Now I saw a street sign fly by, luckily that did not fly into the car. It was up in front of us, but it was blowing that hard, raining really hard, shaking the car, and then it just, it was just for about 30 seconds, and then it cleared up, and then it was fine. We got back on the road and kept going. Another time while I was living up there, we were all on high alert. Big storm came through, and it didn't really impact us directly, but we did go up and see and help out later on with the tornado that happened in 2011 up in Smithville, Mississippi. Now that was an EF5 tornado. It was a huge tornado. I'll show you here some videos so you can see kind of the damage and aftermath. I mean, that one, it pretty much leveled that tiny little town. You can see there, that's the destructive power that these things can have. Now that I've gotten the biggest and scariest that they can be out of the way, let me jump on the computer. I want to show you some statistics and the map where you can see all the tornado tracking, all the tornadoes that have happened. So let's get back there and let me pull that up. Okay, everybody, here we are on the screen, and I wanted to start out kind of with a macro view of the whole country so you can see everything before we get down to Mississippi specifically. I thought this one was pretty good. You've got the nice little map here so you can see which states have the most tornadoes. And obviously Mississippi is not the number one state. It's like Texas definitely is a state. And if you've been watching the channel for a while, you know that I grew up in Texas. That's where I'm originally from. And they've got 140 tornadoes there on average between 1995 and 2014, where Mississippi had just 43, Kansas had 80, and Florida 59. So it looks like the order here would be Texas, Kansas, Florida. But that's just the total number. I mean, looking at Texas obviously is a very big state, and with more land area comes the higher probability of having more tornadoes, and you're in what has always been referred to as Tornado Alley. But you also have Dixie Alley, which is, the region over here where Mississippi is. And, I don't know if Dixie Alley was always a thing, but it definitely seems like it's become more of a thing more recently, maybe in the last 20 years or so. I don't know. Growing up in Texas, I never heard Dixie Alley. I always knew that we were in Tornado Alley. I'm not sure. Maybe somebody who grew up in Mississippi can comment and let me know if Dixie Alley was always a thing. But let's look to just, obviously that's not the only statistic. Let's see about land area and some other things. So you can see one where Mississippi does rank #1 is the tornado path length per 10,000 square miles. So I guess you could say maybe tornadoes tend to stay on the ground a little longer. And I guess Mississippi maybe has had some bad luck where it has hit some towns or things like that where it has caused more damage, maybe some structures that weren't as resilient as well got involved in that. But you know, overall annual tornadoes per 10,000 square miles, Mississippi all the way down there at #8, you know, even below Delaware, which Delaware doesn't come to mind when you think of tornadoes so much, but Delaware is also very small, so if they have any tornadoes at all, it's probably hurting them on that metric. But you know, this website's kind of give you some reference here. You know, Mississippi obviously is not the #1, but we pretty much, you know, except for number of tornadoes, we're on every one of these other lists. So tornadoes happen here, but we're not consistently in the top of these, and we definitely don't have the most per that land area that we have here in Mississippi. So generally, compared to these other states, more spread out, which means you're hitting a lot of those rural areas. I mean, Mississippi, it's not a huge state. It's definitely way bigger than Delaware. And so you've got a lot of landmass there for these tornadoes to go out the country where they're really, you know, not impacting a large number of people. It's pretty rare that they're going to come right through a big population center. So let's look at Mississippi specific tornado stats. For the last 70 years, 1950 to 2020, average about 33 tornadoes per year with over 2,300 tornadoes in that 70-year time span. But you know, a lot of those, most of those were not very serious tornadoes. You did have one year with a 1971 with 128 deaths and 1,494 injuries. I suspect that's probably from one or two major tornado outbreaks that occurred. Because you do have these storms that kind of roll through sometimes and do a lot of damage in a lot of different places. Where you have, like, you know, there may be a lot of small tornadoes, but a lot of small tornadoes can add up when you're looking at these statistics anyway. The month with the greatest number of deaths and injuries, February. Again, that's probably like one of these random outbreaks because February is not the month we really think of tornadoes here in Mississippi. But you know, again, this data can be skewed. So these are statistics. You know, take them as you will. They don't always tell the whole story. And you know, February really not the month. Probably more April, May, June. Those are the months where we're seeing more of the tornado outbreaks, typically, you know, than anything else. So let's go over here, and this is the one I really wanted to show you. This is my favorite tool that I found when I was researching these. Let's look at all the tornado history here in the state, and this is also going back to 1950. Look at all those tornadoes. Now you see. Most of the colors you're seeing here on this map are the blues, the greens, the yellows. You do see some of the oranges, some reds, and even some of the pink, purple, magenta color there. And there's your scale over here on the left side where you can see you've got EF0 all the way up to EF5. The zeros, the ones, those are not going to really cause major damage. You know, minor structural damage, maybe some limbs and things like that. EF2 can definitely damage some roofs, some things like that. EF3, 4, 5, you're getting up into the ones that can cause damage to structures. And EF5 is like that one up there in Smithville, which is this magenta colored one right there, actually. And if I go to 2011, we can see this. So I'm going to put a link to this, by the way. All of these that we use in the video, you can go down to the description and check these out and check out the data for yourself. It's pretty fascinating. I spent a good bit of time just going through here and looking at different tornado tracks. But this is that one that went through Smithville, Mississippi that you saw a video with earlier. But there's been some other big ones. Oops. Let's go back. We don't want to go to Alabama yet. Let's look at the deadliest here. Right? Just give it the worst look that we can give it for the last 70 years, and we'll see the deadliest tornadoes that occurred And there they are. These are basically most of these, the EF 4s and 5s, a few 3s, even some 1s scattered in there. You know, like the 1, if it hits in exactly the right place, they can cause damage, as you can see. But you know, like you're looking here in the metro area, this is over 70 years. So this was in 1966. This was in 2001. There's an EF3 in 1958, 2014 down there. So, you know, even though you're seeing a lot of dots over here, this is over 70 years of the ones that were actually deadly tornadoes. So, I mean, you know, this right here makes it look like there are just tornadoes all over the place all the time. But when you break it down to just a single year even, looking at 2020, if we can do that. Here we go. These were the tornadoes. You know, you had this big one down here in 2020 on Easter Sunday. And I remember that one last year. I remember hearing about that. That was down between the Jackson Metro and Hattiesburg. But you know, most of them in a given year, you got these smaller ones, the EF0, EF1, EF2. And you'll get the occasional one there. But by and large, you know, for the most part in the state, we're not seeing, you know, you're not, every time the tornado siren goes off, there's a tornado warning. This is not usually what we're thinking. You definitely should be prepared, take it seriously, because that could always happen. Most of the time you're getting these little spin ups, you know, they can cause some damage, but they're pretty rare, they're pretty spread out and localized to where they are. And so maybe that looking at this helps you kind of visualize that, get a better understanding of how the tornadoes, you know, how often they happen in Mississippi, how spread out they are, how serious they usually are, but can be. You know, it's just a really interesting tool. So like I said, I will link all these down there in the description so that you can play around with this yourself, look at all the different data, and just have a better understanding of tornadoes here in Mississippi. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed this video about tornadoes here in Mississippi. If you did, make sure you get down there, hit that like button for us. It really helps us out with the YouTube algorithm, and we greatly appreciate it. I hope you see that, yes, tornadoes do happen here, and they can be very serious and dangerous. But by and large, most of the ones that occur are in that lower end of the spectrum that, you know, they may knock some limbs around, knock a shingle off here or there, but they're not the ones that really cause any serious damage. Those are pretty rare and very localized. So hope this helps you out if it's something that you are really worried about. And I will say it's not that much of a concern, but it is a little bit more than the second one that I always get asked, which just blows me away that people ask this, because I don't think about it because it's not Florida. But people ask me, what about alligators? Are alligators, you know, there are a lot of alligators there. Is it really dangerous? And to my knowledge, there are no recorded alligator-related deaths in Mississippi. Although I guess it'd be potentially hard to find the body. I don't know. Okay, y'all, make sure you get down there, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and click the bell. And of course, if you're somebody who's thinking about moving here to the area, take it one step further, give us a call, text, email, DM us, or even right now, y'all know it really don't matter how you get in touch with us, just as long as you do it, because we've got your back moving here to the Jackson Metro. Thank y'all for watching this one. See ya.